On Tech News Today, Google Plus gets a makeover, drones get geo-fencing, and the Tokyo airport gets a megaphone that translates into foreign languages. It's all coming up next on Tech News Today.
This is Twit.
Bandwidth for Tech News Today is provided by CashFly at CACHEFLY.com.
This is Tech News Today for Wednesday, November 18th, 2015. This episode is brought to you by BolinBranch.com, the most comfortable sheets on the planet. If you order right now, they'll give you $50 off a set of sheets plus free shipping. Just go to BOLLANDBRANCH.com and use the offer code TNT. And by Ring Video Doorbell. With Ring, you can see and talk to anyone at your door from anywhere in the world using your smartphone. It's like caller ID for your home. Right now, get free expedited FedEx shipping in time for the holidays when you go to ring.com/TNT. Tech News Today is the show where we talk about the tech news with a journalist who report it. My name is Mike Elgan. Our co-anchor today is ZDNet contributing writer Kevin Tofel. Kevin, how are you doing today?
I'm good. Glad to be here on Hump Day to go over today's tech news.
Yes, awesome. And before we get into the tech news, let's get into the dessert food, breakfast food tech news. I'm speaking, of course, about none other than Dunkin Donuts, which is launching a Starbucks-like order and pay system at 124 Dunkin Donuts restaurants in Portland, Maine. In other news, Kevin Tofel, there are 124 Dunkin Donuts restaurants in Portland, Maine.
I'm shocked, actually. I've been to Portland, Maine. It's a beautiful area, but I don't recall seeing that many Dunkin Donuts.
That's astonishing. I'm a huge fan of Starbucks Order and Pay. I don't even like Starbucks, but I go to Starbucks because of Order and Pay and because they have really fast Wi-Fi now that Google's supplying it. Now, in addition to this Order and Pay system, which, by the way, if you're unfamiliar with Starbucks Order and Pay, the way it works is you pull out the app, you choose the coffee donut combination that you want, and you select it. You say, yeah, I'd like to buy that. Here's the store that I'd like to buy it from. And they say, yeah, okay, it'll be ready in 10 minutes. And then you show up, and they hand you a bag, and you walk out. So it's already paid for before you even get to the store. It's very convenient. And it gives you a sense of superiority when you saunter past the long line of people standing there waiting to get to the cash register. So I love it for that reason. But also, 19 Dunkin' Donuts cafes, they're calling them, in Dallas are trying out delivery, and there are also some delivery testing going on in Atlanta, Chicago, Los Angeles, and Washington, and this is all via DoorDash. So obviously the problem is that it's not easy enough to get donuts, and so they're solving that problem with this delivery system. I don't know, Kevin Tofel, are you a donut fan?
I try and restrict my donut intake, but I do hit Dunkin Donuts for coffee a lot more than Starbucks. I haven't tried out the mobile pay service that you had mentioned on prior shows at Starbucks. I live in the sticks. It's 5 miles just into town to Dunkin Donuts. It's about 15 miles to Starbucks. So I'm all over this. So get it out of Portland, Maine, and bring it to southeastern Pennsylvania, I say.
Yeah, sounds like a great plan. And yeah, it's just it's a great system. I think it's only a matter of time before every fast chain that serves breakfast offers this kind of thing, because it's so compelling, and it really, people change their decisions about where to spend their money in the morning based on this kind of app. All right, well, let's jump into our regular news. Google announced a redesign of Google Plus yesterday. The new design is simpler and faster and emphasizes communities and collections. If you're not a Google Plus nerd, you should know that communities are topics-based streams that users can join and then they can post to as members. Collections are topic-based posts by individual users. So I can go to the Kevin Tofel collection around cat photos. and if I don't want to see his technology reporting, which I'd have to be insane to not get, but if I just want the cat photos, I can just get Kevin Tofel when he writes about cats and not the other stuff. That's what that's for. Now, Google Plus activity numbers are really hard to come by. But Google executives told TechCrunch that there are currently around 1.2 million joins of communities every day on Google+, and that collections are getting even more followers than that. And the mobile versions of the new Google+ will be rolled out in the coming days, and the desktop browser version is opt-in for now. You'll be given the option to use the desktop version when you log out and then log back in. That's how you get it today. And then when you come back later, you're back to the old version, so you have to log out again and log in again to get the new version at some point, I'm sure they just make it all the new version. And I'm really looking forward to the app, because the mobile app is where this is really going to be different, really going to be interesting. Kevin Tofel, what's your opinion about the redesign so far?
Well, the funny thing is, I actually was taking cat photos when this went live, so I was offline for a few hours. And when I came back, everybody on Google Plus was talking about what else? Google Plus and the redesign. So I have not used this extensively yet. I did get into the early look at it, so I've seen it. I like how it looks. What amazes me more, Mike, is I saw a blog post, and I can't find it right now, so I don't have the exact numbers. It's amazing to me what the engineering team at Google has done to really cut down on the number of calls that the app actually makes to external websites and pages, the amount of download time and throughput and data that it downloads now it's like minuscule compared to what it was. So it's definitely going to be fantastic on mobile. It should be much faster because it uses far less resources.
And that's great news, because of course Facebook is, in my experience, Facebook is by far the fastest social network. They're faster than Twitter. They're faster than everything. I go to Facebook.com in a Chrome browser, and it loads like that. Google Plus on a Chrome browser is way, way slower. So I'm hoping that, the mobile experience, I think, is okay on Google Plus. On desktop in a browser, especially a Chrome browser, it's very, very slow. So I'm hoping that they'll really fix that whole problem. My perception of this so far, and I haven't really written about it extensively, I haven't really studied it extensively, is that Google Plus was launched to be the future of everything. I mean, they used to say, Google Plus executives in the old days used to say, "Oh, this isn't the next Facebook. This is the next Google. We want you to do all the Google stuff via Google Plus." That was the Vikendotra mission. And they sort of abandoned that a year or two ago. I'm not sure when at this point. And they've been, at this point, well, this redesign, I think, reflects Google's desire to say, okay, look, there are certain things about Google Plus that nobody wants to go to Google Plus to use it as a news feed like on Twitter. Nobody goes to Google Plus because all their old high school friends and colleagues and friends, and Facebook owns that market. They decided that the photo stuff should be pulled out. They decided that the communication stuff like Hangouts should be pulled out. And where Google Plus really shines is in this people sharing their nerdy enthusiasms. So if you're into macrame, or you're into underwater basket weaving, or if you're into whatever it is, whatever obscure passion you have, you'll find a community of other people who are super passionate about the same thing where you can have a great conversation. So I think really Google Plus has become a sort of graphical version of Reddit to a certain extent. And both Reddit and Google Plus, by the way, are very light on advertising. Google Plus, of course, has no ads. And so I think that's really where it shines, and I'm happy to see it. That's the main thing I always got out of Google Plus myself, was just to go and have great conversations with other people who are super smart and really know what they're talking about in these various little interest areas. I have a whole bunch of bakers in there. We talk about bread and stuff like that. A lot of tech stuff, a lot of tech nerdy stuff. If you're into Legos or any sort of nerd enthusiasm, you're going to find great communities, many great communities on Google+. And I know you're a fan too, Kevin. What do you think of every time there's any Google+ news, there's all this knee-jerk, naysayer sort of snarky comment among our peers. What's your perception on why that always happens?
Yeah, and we're seeing it this time around. This is no exception. They're bringing Google Plus back from the dead. I hate to say it, folks, it was never dead. And, I think the issue is Google never really shares actual numbers of subscribers. I think there are far more than most people realize. I think it's just been written off far too early. And I personally enjoy it because of the conversations on all kinds of topics. I find them to be more, I don't want to say not as confrontational as they are maybe on Facebook or Twitter, just some really good conversations on topics that I enjoy. So, I don't think it's going away anytime soon.
I find a lot of it very confrontational on Google+. I guess the way to characterize that is there's a lot more unfair, sort of trollish kind of attack mode confrontation on Twitter and Facebook. On Google+, there's pushback on everything. You can go out, I can do a post on Google Plus that says, "Oh, it's a nice day today," and somebody will disagree with me, or but it'll be a constructive argument typically, partly because they have great anti-troll tools. So all the people who would be haters, racists, jerks, I've blocked them long ago, and so my own perception is people either like Google Plus or they don't. The people who don't use it and assume that nobody else uses it. The people who do like it continue to use it. And for most of the people that I know who use Google Plus, it's their favorite social network. So what you end up with is a relatively small group of super fans who love Google Plus, and then you go to Facebook and you have a huge number of people who are like, they don't really care about Facebook. That's where people are, and so that's why they're there. They're not enthusiastic about the platform, unless you're Robert Scoble. And of course, the journalists all use Twitter. So anyway, glad to see that they're redesigning it. I'm looking forward to seeing the mobile version especially, and I continue, like you, to get a lot out of Google+. It's my favorite social place, and I know a lot of our TNT fans are on Google+ and very active there as well. We've got some drone news. We'll be droning on right after this break. We're going to talk about bowlandbranch.com, one of our sponsors today. If you watch this show or if you follow me online, you know that I'm a huge health freak. And I love to eat healthy food. I love to live a healthy lifestyle for the most part. And one of those areas of health that people often neglect is their sleep. A lot of people don't sleep enough, and when they do sleep, they don't sleep well. And sleeping well involves being very comfortable and having a really good, high-quality bedding situation. And Boll & Branch is in the business of having super high-quality sheets. How much time do you spend in your life between sheets? It's just a lot of time, and so that is a place where you want the very best. Unfortunately, the markups in the department stores for high-quality sheets are astronomical, up to 800%, and so that's a big waste of money. Boll & Branch is here to solve that problem because they'll sell you super high-quality organic cotton sheets, fair trade, made with fair trade, for a fraction of what they charge you in the big department stores. These are fantastic, and they're so confident that these are such great sheets. They'll let you try them completely risk-free for 30 nights. That's right, you get to try the sheets. It gets even better. If you order right now, they give you $50 off a set of sheets plus free shipping. Just go to bowlandbranch.com and use the offer code TNT. That's right, $50 off a sheet set immediately by going to BOLLANDBRANCH.com. Make sure you use the offer code TNT. You got to check it out. All right. Well, Parrot yesterday unveiled its Bebop Drone 2. Kat Zakrzewski writes for TechCrunch and joins us now. Welcome to the show, Kat.
Hey, thanks so much for having me on, Mike.
So glad you're here to explain this new drone. Now, what's new in the Bebop Drone 2?
So the main difference with this iteration of the drone is that it can stay in the air twice as long as its predecessor. So the original Bebop could stay up for, maybe 14 minutes. This one is in the air for 25. So the other thing is that it's also faster. It can fly 37 miles per hour as compared to 24 miles per hour before. So those are some big power improvements.
Now, I'm assuming, Kat, that this has the typical cameras that Parrot puts in there. What are the video capabilities like, and how does that work with the drone?
Yeah, exactly. So this is the same as the original Bebop camera-wise. It's still a 14 megapixel camera, and it's basically the way this camera works is that it live streams video content to the device that you're using to control the drone. So you can control this drone from your iPad, from any tablet, from a phone. And as you're controlling the drone, it actually streams HD video content to your screen.
I think it's funny that unless my math is mistaken, this drone can go faster than the Google self-driving car can.
Wow.
So that's pretty fast. And it's also interesting because Parrot says that their drones, unlike many of the drones on the market, can be safely flown indoors. Why do they make that claim?
So I think there's a couple of reasons. The first one is that the Parrot drones are a lot smaller than a lot of the other drones that we see on the market. And then the other reason is that they have 4 propellers, and if anything hits one of those propellers, they all stop. So that really kind of cuts down on a lot of the safety issues that you see with these with drones indoors.
Yeah, that's interesting that we're talking about the indoor flying, because I have one of the old Parrot AR2 drones. I know it's not the same as the Bebop, but we'll call it an early predecessor. And
Sure.
that came with like a foam shell for me to fly indoors. So I used to do that all the time until I broke the shell. And
Oh my gosh.
I also found out, and I don't know if Parrots ever has mentioned this to you or to anybody else, but if you do fly these indoors, I've done some research. The old motors, at least, actually emit some ultrasonic frequencies, and I was wondering why my dog hated it when I would fly this thing indoors. He would always be scared because the animals can hear that. So I
Oh
don't
my
know
gosh.
if they've said anything about that to you. They don't include, I'm assuming, a plastic foam shell for this one, do they?
You know what? I don't think they do. They were flying them around inside at the press event yesterday, kind of just through all the crowds of reporters, and there were no foam shells with this device then. But as far as I know, they do not.
So it's kind of funny, Kat. Yesterday we were taking our holiday photo here at Twit, and we had Padre, aka the Quadfather, who's like our big drone enthusiast guy, was flying. As soon as everybody was gathered around in this very confined space, all of a sudden we hear this, and he's like sitting there flying this thing, weaving between people. And this is the one. This isn't a. Thank you, John. This is a SEMA. So he was flying this thing, and he waits till there's a lot of targets before he starts flying. Typically, at least in my experience. Right. But it's perfectly safe. This thing is really light. Now. Kat, I think a lot of people are wondering when this thing ships and how much it'll cost.
Yeah, so it ships on December 14th, so right in time for the holidays, and it will cost $550.
All right, that's a pretty good price, I think. And the CEO of that company was talking to some other journalists saying that the coming year is going to be I think they said a bloody year. Hopefully that's not literally having to do with propellers meeting flesh, but I think he meant in the competitive marketplace there are going to be lots and lots of companies selling lots and lots of low-cost drones, and it's going to be very difficult for these companies to make money because, of course, the prices are coming down because of all the competition. Anyway, it's going to be a lot of fun. Next year is going to be the year of a lot of things, the year of mainstream consumer drones, the year of VR, the year of lots and lots of things. So we'll be looking forward to all of that. Kat Zakrzewski is at TechCrunch.com and on Twitter at, I'm going to spell this, Kat, so CAT_ZAKRZEWSKI. Kat, thank you so much for joining us today.
Thanks so much for having me.
All right, bye-bye. Well, in other consumer drone news, DJI announced a new geo-fencing safety system for their products that will automatically prevent the drones from flying in restricted areas like, prisons, power plants, or, say, the White House lawn. The system is called the Geospatial Environmental Online, the Geospatial Environment, I should say, Online, and it's based on mapping data from AirMap. The site will be constantly updated as new restrictions arise. The system is free. And users can override the restrictions as long as they set up a verified account with DJI, which includes the sharing of personally identifiable information like a credit card or a phone number or something like that. Kevin Tofel, this technology in principle, I'm not sure about this particular implementation in particular, but the idea of programmed geofences is the solution, I think, to a lot of the risks and fears that people have about consumer drones.
I think from a technical perspective, I agree with you. I think from a freedom to use the device as you see fit, people are going to have a problem with this, I suspect. I have a drone. I just mentioned that earlier on the show. And you know what? I don't, fly it over places that I shouldn't or anything like that. But I do think that some people are going to be like, hey, this is my drone. I'll fly it where I want, so long as I'm not breaking any laws or don't get caught. Now, obviously, they would get caught if they registered because DJI has personally identifiable information here. So I suspect if you did something or took your drone somewhere you shouldn't go, you're probably going to get busted.
Yeah, and of course, I mentioned the prisons. This is actually a common occurrence. There are lots of news stories about people flying contraband into prisons. I assume the files and things like that, or I don't know what they're flying in, probably drugs. And, it happens all the time. So, yeah, having geofences that prevent that from happening around. Of course, criminals are going to figure out some way around it. They'll choose a drone that doesn't have this feature. They'll figure out how to hack or whatever. I don't think this is a foolproof way to prevent prisoners from getting contraband, but still, it's a start. And I think that if drones become super mainstream, i.e. millions of people are flying them all the time, then we do need restrictions. We don't want these things falling out of the sky constantly and landing on our heads and putting the public at risk or making the public feel like they're at risk. A lot of this is just perception.
I agree with that. And I think the prisoners, they'll be served very well by Amazon Prime drone delivery anyway, so we shouldn't have to worry about this.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, in product update news, Tumblr rolled out a GIF creator yesterday, catching up to a feature introduced on Google Plus 2 years ago, I might add. Tumblr's version, however, is for iOS only and makes GIFs from either video clips or from multiple photos. They said, Kevin Tofel, and I want to be a little critical about the number, but they said that something like 23 million animated GIFs are posted on Tumblr every single day. And the reason I'm critical is that when Yahoo bought Tumblr, one of the first things they did was they weren't sure whether to make it family friendly. There's a lot of porn on Tumblr, and they weren't sure whether to just ban it or to allow it. And they reached a sort of compromise where it's there, but the search engine won't find it. And so on the one hand, they're bragging about these huge numbers, but a lot of those, I would guess, who knows, are porn GIFs. So they're benefiting from this big number of usage, but at the same time, it's like this sort of the unspoken like aspect of their service. But anyway, 23 million a day. That's a lot of animated GIFs.
That is a lot. And I just opened up the Tumblr page that has the GIFs, and my eyes are already, I mean, there's like 7 on my screen right now, all doing different things. So, oof.
Yeah.
Thank you, no.
Yeah. Too many GIFs. All right, well, we got some more news coming up. Some really interesting news. You could definitely want to stick around for this. But first, I want to talk about one of my favorite consumer products ever, the Ring Video Doorbell, one of our sponsors today. I absolutely love this thing. I was saying yesterday on the show that I was looking for something like this for so long. I tried to put my own together, and I was always frustrated by how difficult this kind of product was to install and to use and to connect to the internet and keep connected and to continue to function as I wanted to. This thing is super easy to install, and once you install it, it just works. It just never stops. It's just so great. So essentially how it works is a little box that you use to replace your doorbell. On the front door, you can put another one on the back door. As many doors as you have, you can put a Ring Video Doorbell on that. And it's clearly a doorbell. Anybody who walks up to your house will say, oh yeah, there's the doorbell, and they'll press it. When they press it, it records a video of that person, and it will actually ring not only the doorbell in your house, the regular one that's already installed in your house, but it will ring a doorbell on your phone. So if you're not at home, you hear the doorbell, and you can say, there's the doorbell, and ignore it, or you can answer it. And when you answer it, you see the person in real time, you talk to the person back and forth. So you say, hey, what's going on? And they'll tell you, and you can just leave the package on the front porch, whatever it is that you want to say to whoever's at your door. Also, you can set it to record motion. Now, when you do that, it has these specific fields. It will record not only across this, it's a very wide angle camera. And you can say, okay, only trigger the video recording when you're in this sector or this distance from the doorbell. So you can say, I only want to see stuff on this half of the doorbell and only a short distance away. If something happens, 30, 40 feet away, don't record any video. It's super flexible, and you can change it and tweak it and perfect it and optimize it to your heart's content. And the end result is you get notified when anything happens in the zone that you specify. And even if you ignore it, even if you turn your phone off, even if you're not paying attention to your phone when an event occurs in front of the doorbell, those videos are uploaded in the cloud, and you can check them anytime. I could go and check videos that were recorded 3 months ago. They're still there, just sitting there waiting for me to provide as evidence if something happens or whatever. It's so great to have peace of mind for security, to know what's happening, to know who's coming and going, what your kids are doing, when your kids come in. And by the way, speaking of kids/teenagers coming in and knowing when they're coming home, it is great in low light. So in the middle of the night, for example. I highly recommend the Ring Video Doorbell, and I'm so thrilled they're a sponsor. This year, give the gift of peace of mind and convenience with the Video Doorbell. Time Magazine named it one of their top 10 gadgets. Go to ring.com/TNT for free expedited FedEx shipping. That's ring.com/TNT. With Ring, you're always home, and we thank Ring Video Doorbell for sponsoring Tech News Today. Well, in news you can use, Apple today started selling a new $79 charging dock for the Apple Watch. It's round, flat, and it appears to be unapologetically plastic. It has a magnetic charging puck in the middle. It doesn't use the existing puck. It uses its own puck, which is nice. And this charging puck can be made flat, so the watch would be flat on the surface, or it can be set upright so that the watch is still kind of like, on its edge and still charging. Kevin Tofel, this is kind of interesting for Apple to have two charging options for one of their devices.
Well, it is, but the way I see it, it's just a big profit maker here because it's unapologetically expensive at $79.
Yeah.
I mean, I have an Apple Watch. I bought the cheapest one that I could get. I have no interest in this personally for $79. I mean, I got to believe it's $15, $20 at most to build and put this thing together and whatnot. So, the Apple Watch works with the Qi standard. So I've got plenty of charging pucks. No, they're not as nice and elegant as this, but I like the design, but wow, I do not like the price.
There was a meeting at Apple saying, hey, look at these numbers. There are all these companies selling $35 charging docks. Why don't we do one just like it and charge $79? Because we're Apple. And you're right. I mean, this is a better solution. The problem I have with my dock, I haven't really done anything with my dock. I don't know what you're supposed to do with the current dock, the little round thing, but it slides all over. I have it on a table. And, I kind of grab it and pull it back because it always slips back and it wants to slip over the edge. And it's just kind of a squirrely, semi-out-of-control thing. This dock would be better. But like you, I'm not going to spend $79 for a charging dock. I mean, that's just a huge price for something that just simply charges a smartwatch. But that people will buy this. And, it's good work if you can get it. Selling stuff for $79 that I think you were too generous. I bet you this thing cost them $5 to make. They're making a killing on
well,
this thing.
What? You know what's a cheaper solution, especially in the scenario that you mentioned.
Don't buy an Apple Watch?
No, you could do that, I suppose. But double-sided tape on that dock, or what I do is I put mine on the dock and then turn it on its side for nightstand mode, which is what this will do. You can flip this one up. I just leave it that way, and it doesn't really move anywhere. I'm not dropping $80 for this.
Yeah, I would personally rather get all these third-party docks that use the existing docking puck, and you just hook it into the dock and it sits there and it holds the watch in whatever way that the manufacturer specifies. Some of them are made of wood, some are very nice. So lots of options in the world of Apple Watch docking. Well, in news, I'm sorry, you had another comment, Kevin. Go ahead.
Yeah, I just wanted to point out that this does come with I think it's a 2-meter long lightning cable, but it does not come with the power brick, just like the one with the Apple Watch doesn't come with a power brick either. So you still have to find some place to plug it in into a USB port or have an accessory power brick for this.
Wow, amazing. Well, the news you could lose, the Tokyo airport is testing a megaphone that translates language. The megaphone is called the Megaphone Yaku, and it was made by Panasonic. It translates to or from Japanese, English, Chinese, and Korean. Let's check out their video. She's speaking Japanese into it to a crowd of reporters.
The bus will arrive shortly. 巴士马上就到.
I need this, Kevin Tofel. This is awesome. So it looks like a regular megaphone. It's red and white. It looks very much like a standard megaphone, but there's a screen on the top, and there's like a extra plastic and presumably electronics inside. So it's essentially doing what lots of things do, like Google Translate. It's translating in real time and then speaking it in a clear voice. This is interesting to be used at the Tokyo airport because, in fact, the creation of this product, I hear, by Panasonic resulted from there was some flooding a year or two ago at the Tokyo airport, and they couldn't communicate to people because people from all kinds of different countries, and the people who were sent out there with a megaphone to communicate with the public spoke only Japanese. And so there are all kinds of confused non-Japanese airport visitors who didn't know what they were saying. And so now the idea is you can just go out there, make an announcement, and everybody gets it in their own language. I think it's a brilliant idea, and I definitely want one.
I like the idea. I want to see it at my Dunkin Donuts, actually, because a lot of people there, English is not their first language, and they're always shouting out the orders. Literally, they shout. It doesn't matter if you're standing next to them or not. They can just say, coffee's up or whatever. I'd be happy.
You heard it here first, Dunkin Donut employees. That's Kevin Tofel, who's with the multilingual megaphone at the window. All right, well, very, very cool. We got some feedback from some TNT fans, including an email from Tony Hannity's, who said he just wanted to share some feedback on the Chromebit story we did yesterday. He said, it's interesting that you didn't mention another entry into this Desktop Anywhere concept, Microsoft's Continuum and the display dock. Just wanted to hear your thoughts. Great show, my thoughts, and Kevin, I'd love to hear your thoughts as well, but that is a superior solution if you have, I think, if you have a Windows 10 phone. that's one of the best reasons, maybe even the best reason to get a Windows 10 phone, I think. What do you think, Kevin?
Yeah, I agree. The new Lumia 950 and 950 XL are going on sale, I think, this week. There are pre-orders that have started. And for $99, you can add a desktop dock that Tony's mentioning. And basically, all of your mobile apps will scale up to a full monitor, giving you a full desktop. Just use a keyboard, a mouse, and you've got basically a computer that's in your pocket, and then it's a computer on your desk with a desktop dock. I think it's a great idea.
I do too. And one of the great things about that, of course, is that, you get the desktop experience. It doesn't look like a phone that's like really large. And so, yeah, I love that feature. I'd love to see it rolled out to other platforms so that I don't have to use a Lumia. But it is tempting. I do like that feature a lot. All right, we got another email from Tyson Junkers who said, I love that you show off Kickstarter campaigns. I've backed 4 different campaigns due to your show. Keep it up. Another email on the same topic from Elizabeth Whitmire who said, I love your show. You asked about whether you should cover crowdfunding campaigns. I say keep it up. It is news, and I found some gems in the campaigns that you and other journalists have highlighted. Among the campaigns to which I've contributed, not every product shipped or has met my expectations, but every campaign that has met its goal has at least shipped something. I feel fortunate to have found many of these campaigns, like the New Matter Mod T 3D printer, Jason Howell's Yellow Gold album. All right, shout out for Jason Howell's Yellow Gold album, and Throwboy chat pillows. So another yes. In fact, all of the feedback on this story was in favor of us continuing to cover really interesting crowdfunded products. All right, one last email from Gerald Villani, who said, my 2 cents on Facebook's real names policy. I finally succumbed to joining Instagram. After loading the app, it asked me if I wanted to notify my Facebook friends of my new account, and I said yes. Pretty quickly, the friend responses started arriving, but I had no idea who these people were because Instagram does not have a real names policy. Obviously, they were my Facebook friends, but with cryptic screen names. I have a new appreciation for Facebook's real names policy. Not only do I know who's posting what, but I can more easily recognize friend requests and find people from my past, and that is a great point. All right, well, our TNT, by the way, if you want to comment on our show, if you have suggestions for coverage or you have a comment or an opinion about something we've covered, you can send us email to tnt@twit.tv. Our TNT fan of the day is Juan Moreno in Chihuahua, Mexico, who posted this picture on Google+. He says his new kitten, Hamilton, is really entertained by tech news today. You know, Kevin Tofel, we have so many viewers who are dogs and cats. I don't know whether to be flattered or what, or whether we should have a segment that's in cat language or what we should do there. But
you're probably underestimating the viewing audience by half, to be honest.
Well, we welcome all viewers, including the furry ones, and we'd like to invite you to show us how you watch or listen to TNT. Just record a video or a boomerang or a Vine or anything, or take a picture and post it on Instagram, Google+, Twitter, or Facebook. And please use the hashtag #HowIWatchTNT so we can find it. Kevin Tofel, please tell us what's going on with your grand iPad Pro experiment. How is that going?
Well, the experiment's going well. I'm a little bit black and blue from all of the people who are beating me up over it, saying it's not a laptop replacement. A Pro tablet should have SD card slots and USB 3.0 ports and so on. I'm not going to argue with them. If that's what they need, then that's what they should buy. Perhaps the Surface Pro 4 would be good. For me, I've been using the iPad Pro full time since Thursday afternoon for all of my blog posts, all of my social networks, all of my email, even some online code in the cloud. And it's working great. I'm enjoying the fact that I've got more real estate to work with. So I'm going to keep using it, and I should have my full review up maybe later this week, but probably next, because I really want to use the smart keyboard, and that's not here yet.
I'm always vaguely nauseated by echo chamber repetition of the conventional wisdom among our peers in the press. We talked about Google Plus earlier. There's a lot of that for that. There's a lot of it going around all over the place. And almost immediately, that was the conventional wisdom on this product. Oh, it's great, but you can't use it as a laptop replacement. You know, it's like, on the one hand, why can't you? You know, it's like, are there not enough apps in the App Store, or not enough iPad apps that, you know, what is it that you need to do that you can't do on this thing? By the way, the processor is faster than any other Apple laptop that is currently available. On the other hand, I also worry that people like you and me we write for a living. So we're basically surfing the internet, typing things, using email and stuff like that. Lots of people, who knows what special applications are required for people who are in real estate or do other types of work. And so that, of course, as you pointed out, is a totally legitimate idea. But I really do think for the vast majority of people, it can be a replacement. And I think it's interesting that we're kind of in this new era, if you accept the idea that the iPad Pro is a replacement. If you notice that now Android Wear supports phone calls and data, we're now in this era where you don't need a phone or a laptop. You could actually live your life pretty well with just a smartwatch and a tablet, although you'd have an Apple tablet and an Android Wear smartwatch. But still, it's an interesting world to live in where you have these options where you don't really need a smartphone anymore and you don't really need a laptop anymore if you're one of those strange people like you and like me who loves to live on the sort of edge of new stuff. A lot of people aren't comfortable with that. But anyway, it's a great world, and I can't wait to come up with an excuse as to why I need an iPad Pro to justify the expense. So I'm looking forward to that. Well, Kevin Tofel, I want to thank you for co-anchoring today, and we will see you next Wednesday.
Sounds great, Mike.
Right,
thanks.
Bye-bye. You can subscribe to Tech News Today on YouTube or choose another way to subscribe at twit.tv/TNT. You can watch us live, of course, every weekday at 10 a.m. Pacific, 1700 UTC at twit.tv/live. You can follow us on Twitter at Tech News Today TV, and don't miss our other news show, Tech News Tonight, at 4 p.m. Pacific every weekday. And that is the Tech News Today. This show is produced by Jason Cleanthus and edited by Anthony Nielsen. My name is Mike Elgan. Thanks for tuning in. We'll see you tomorrow.